He's actually holding back tears. And he looks at the other CEOs in the room in like very vulnerable moments, says, I have not slept in 90 days. I have literally been making peace with the fact that we are going out of business, but in less than 10 minutes, I got hope. My name is John Santaferraro, and this is the Digital Analyst, where AI makes sense and digital dominance begins.
The Digital Analyst with John Santaferraro, powered by Insight Jam.
At least once every century, there is some historical event, global shift, or technology transformation that changes the world. In the 21st century, AI is the radical change agent that will change the way we think, act, innovate, and lead. My prediction is that within the next 10 years, at least 50% of everything we do today will be done differently. We have a choice to make. If we do nothing with AI, we will find ourselves eclipsed by those who figure out how to use it efficiently. If we use AI in the same way that everybody else uses it, we will become like everyone else and reduce ourselves to the lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator will rise above those who choose not to use AI, but it will still be the lowest common denominator. Instead of just surfing the AI wave, we have to rise above it. We have to find uncommon ways to use it. We have to learn to harness the power of AI in ways that transcend our current experience. Most of today's use cases for AI are nothing more than finding better ways to do something we've always done. New technology shifts always start by finding more efficient ways and faster ways to do what we've done in the past. We already know that AI can double the speed of innovation. We know it can increase productivity, but we have barely touched the surface of what can be done with AI. AI leaders will create new business models, invent new products, and discover new services that we have never before conceived of. Perhaps even more importantly, imagine a generation of leaders using AI to become better leaders, better directors, better managers, even better people. What if AI could transform our leadership style, helping us operate like the best leaders of all time? What if AI could help us surround ourselves with the people we need to double, triple, or quadruple our potential? Consider the impact of AI as an executive coach, always by our side, ready to give us feedback, to drive home our communication, fine-tune our strategy, or exceed our expectations for execution. I'm convinced that AI can do all of these things, and it can be done on our behalf today. For that reason, I'm excited to welcome Geoff Woods to our podcast today. Geoff is already helping thousands of leaders overcome their biggest challenges and exalt their leadership. He is the CEO and founder of AI Leadership, a firm dedicated to empowering AI-driven leaders who harness AI to build better businesses and better lives. He's the author of The AI-Driven Leader, Harnessing AI to Make Faster, Smarter Decisions, a book that, by the way, radically transformed my thinking about AI. As the former chief growth officer of Jindal Steel and Power, Geoff drove market cap growth from $750 million to $12 billion in 4 years through AI-driven leadership. He also co-founded the training and consulting company behind Gary Keller's The One Thing, where he coached and advised companies with revenues from $10 million to $60 billion. I can guarantee it, this is not an episode you want to miss. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and join me on my Tuscan farm right here in the hills between Florence and Lucca for the Digital Analyst. A big digital welcome to Geoff Woods. Geoff, what a privilege to have you here on the Digital Analyst. Thank you so much for joining.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited about this because I read your book, and for me, it was a transformational experience. I went from using AI occasionally. I'm an AI guy, right? This is my coverage
Yeah.
area, an industry analyst that covers AI. And I went from using AI occasionally to daily and a lot of days hourly and to using it strategically. So, above all else, thank you so much for your book and for what it has meant for me personally.
Wow. That means a lot, John. Thank you. What about it made it so powerful for you?
It was really this idea that AI can be a thought partner, and I got that far in the book, and
Hmm.
I just put the book down, and as I read the book, I realized, boy, I think I did the right thing because I put the book down and I just started to think that through for myself. What does that mean that he's a thought partner, and how can I use it? And I'm kind of an innovator and a visionary. So I started thinking, wow, okay, it could be like a communication coach. I could make sure that there's no bias in the things that I am communicating. I can put my wife's business plan into this and see if we can come up with a better way for her to do what she does. I can put my business plan in. And it literally every aspect of what I do as a communicator was changed. And then as I read through the book, I realized, oh, I'm doing exactly what he said. I'm rising above the AI. I'm not doing things that are dependent on AI. And that's what I did with your book. It's like, well, I don't want to just do whatever Geoff says. I want to pause here and I want to think it through so that this can be mine. That made the rest of the book even more exciting. So that would be my big takeaway.
Amazing. Amazing. That's so cool. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I want to jump in and talk about the book, but before we do that, I that book wouldn't be the book that it is if it wasn't for your journey in getting to the
Yeah.
point where you wrote the book. And
Yeah.
so you've had a tremendous career with the one thing, and you had the Jindal steel experience that was a really amazing results. Can you talk a little bit about how you got to the point where you were able to write the book you did? And of course, we'll
Sure.
jump into the book, but I'm curious about your journey.
Sure. We have to go back to college.
Ah,
It
okay.
was it was my senior year. I'm doing an internship and I sit down with the CEO right before graduating, John, and I asked him what job he thought I should get after school. He leans in and looks at me and he goes, "Geoff, you're asking the wrong question. You should be asking, what are the skills I can master that are so valuable they'll serve me no matter where I go? Then go find jobs that'll help you build those skills." It's the first time in my life that I was introduced to the power of asking the right questions, and it's also some of the best career advice I've ever received. He recommended based on my personality, I go into sales. So he said, that'll serve you no matter where you go. He was right. So I got amazing training at Xerox, but figured out nobody likes their sales copier rep. Got into medical device sales because I thought that'd be a great life. Had a great career. On paper, everything was extraordinary, but deep down, I was unfulfilled. And I knew I was meant for more. And growth is my core value. And I felt like I wasn't growing. I remember, John, thinking, I want to wake up one day owning a business that makes a big impact in the world and delivers real security for my family. Problem was, I didn't know how. And, that Jim Rohn quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I had no one in my 5 that was living the kind of life I wanted to be living. Amazing friends, 0 mentors. You fast forward, it's our national sales meeting, and Jay Papasan, who co-authored The One Thing with Gary Keller, was the speaker. He blows my mind. And at the end of him talking, he gets a standing ovation, me included. And when everybody else sat, I found myself still standing. Something in my heart said, dude, you got to run. Even though my brain was saying sit, my heart was saying go. And I literally sprinted down the side of the ballroom and intercepted Jay. And that began a relationship. I had no idea that The One Thing had become so popular as a business book. I had no idea that they were trying to turn it into a company. But the problem is Gary Keller's One Thing is running Keller Williams, largest real estate company in the world. Jay's One Thing is writing books with Gary. They were looking for somebody whose one thing would be the one thing. And that's how I got into business ownership. The 3 of us co-founded a company. My job was to scale it. And core to this, John, was I had to master the art and science of asking leaders the right questions to unlock growth.
If I
This
remember
became a
if I
Go ahead.
remember correctly too, that wasn't the way you started by asking the right questions. You
No.
asked a few questions that might not have been the right questions, and that was the learning, right? That was the
Bingo. And that's where it connected back to college. It was like, oh, asking the right questions is a skill. And the one thing I had to hone this skill because I was stepping into C suites and boardrooms of Fortune 500 companies driving strategy. I would know nothing about the company, but I would know how to ask the right questions to get them to focus on what matters most to drive enterprise value. It was Superman can fly. I can ask the right questions to drive growth. That became my superpower. By 2022, I sold my stake in the business and I ended up going in house with a client called Jindal Steel. I had been the coach to the chairman of the board and his whole exec team. And he asked if I would come in as chief growth officer over all their companies, which they have a bunch of companies vertically integrated, about 100,000 people across the world. My job was to make it grow. And I focused on four things: strategy, execution, people, and technology. Strategy is when you work with a company, defining what's the competitive advantage you're building in the long term through the actions you take in the short term. Can we define the moat we're building? Execution, do we have a focused business plan in alignment with our strategy that we are staying focused on? People, I had this realization, John. The purpose of people in a company is to achieve the goals. Goals change every year, if not faster. How often do job descriptions?
Hmm.
In our case, we had 100,000 people, talented people, but running in completely different directions. And I found myself going, how might you realign a workforce as priorities and goals shift? Well, the only way you could do that is if you looked at technology. It was December of 2022 when I saw ChatGPT for the first time. And when I saw it, John, I saw the next skill. It was clear to me this is a skill that's worth mastering. But I had all the limiting beliefs I think most people listening to this have had, which is I'm busy, I'll get to it later. You know what? I'll delegate this to IT. They'll take care of it. But that message of focus on the skills that are worth mastering, they'll serve you no matter where you go, overrode any limiting belief. And I just made a commitment. I'm going to use this once a day. I am not technical. I can't write a single line of code even today. But I can start using this technology. The problem, John, was I was asking myself all the wrong questions. I was asking, how can I use this to write a better email? And I wondered why I felt like a waste of time. One day I'm sitting back and I'm going, what if it wasn't the tech? What if it was me? What if it was how I was leading it? And that's when I had this realization. My career has been defined by the ability to ask leaders the right questions to unlock growth of companies. Here I am asking AI questions. Could I get AI to ask me the right questions? That was the unlock. And that's when I shifted from tactical use to strategic. I was in India every quarter. I'm at the chairman's house and I'm showing him how I'm using this for strategy. And he goes, "This is incredible." And I go, "Yeah, it's the future." And he goes, "I agree." I said, "I think we should drive it through the whole company." He goes, "I agree." And I said, "I think this is so important. You need to own this as chairman of the board." And he goes, "I disagree. You do it." Problem is, I know nothing about AI. But I learned an important lesson from Gary Keller. Anytime you're hitting a ceiling of achievement, you're just missing a person. I was asking, how can I drive this through the organization? Which I was hitting a wall. That was the wrong question. I asked a different question. Who can I get into relationship with that if I was in relationship with them, it would enable me to drive this through the company? That led to a partnership with Google. I started going to their headquarters in India every single quarter, and I learned a lot about the tech. And as we started to drive it through the company, I realized there was a much bigger problem because everybody, they're saying, we got to adopt AI. And it's like they're holding a square peg and they're searching for a square hole or trying to make a hole square. They're going technology first, strategy second. AI is not your goal. Building a better business and better lives? Yes. You have to think strategy first, technology second. And that's where I saw the hole in the market. I said, I think I can write a book about this and build a company based on this. And by the time I resigned from Jindal, the market cap had grown from 750 million to 12 billion.
Unlock better leads through Solutions Review events.
Welcome to Data Demo Day. Expert Roundtable, Solution Spotlight featuring Monte Carlo, Cohesity, Denodo, Cloudflare, High Gear, Broadcom, Next Thing.
Boost your brand with a webinar that shares comprehensive use cases, real-time product demos, and an interactive Q&A. All broadcast live to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Zoom from our Boston studio, or even on location. Fill your sales funnel with high-quality targeted leads. And contact us today by visiting solutionsreview.com/virtual events.
Fill in a gap for me, because I happened to do a project for Google Cloud, and a lot of it was around their AI, Vertex AI, and it was before the days of Gemini. I went and rewrote 100 of their customer stories. So I know exactly what customers are doing with Google, but there was not a single time where I read anything like what you just said. What is the difference? And maybe you can start getting into the book here too, right?
Like what I just said, which part are you referring to?
I'm talking about this idea of using AI for strategy and having it ask you questions.
Yes. I believe AI does it enhance you or replace you? I think the choice is yours. I chose to make it enhance me, which meant I had to look at what were my core strengths that are my areas of genius that I'm truly world class at, that I could do it all day long. I'd be like the Energizer Bunny. I am strategic. I ask the right questions. It gives me life. It gives me energy. And so I went on a path to understand, how can I harness AI to enhance me, to turn my strengths into superpowers. That's why, this is why I'm the global thought leader on this specific subject, is because it's me. That's why you haven't seen it anywhere else. And in that, I believe also is the opportunity for people is, sure, start learning how to use this on a day-to-day in your work or in your personal life. But the real value is to discover, who are you? What makes you you? And how do you use AI to enhance you? And that very much is what the AI-driven leader as a book is all about now.
In the book, you very quietly introduce some foundational principles that change the way leaders think about AI. And at the same time, you shift the way your readers move forward with AI.
Yeah.
And the one thing that stands out to me is you help people move from, and you did this personally as well, to move from seeing AI as a tool to generate things and fuel productivity to the viewpoint that AI becomes more strategic.
Yes.
Think for things like ideation, visioning, strategy, planning, other leadership practices. Why is that so important for executives today?
Think of everything you do as an investment. You put $1 in, you can get $1.10 out. You could put $1 in, you could get $2 out. You could get $10 out, $1,000 out, $1 million out, $1 billion out. What's the difference that makes the difference? It's how you think and it's how you act. And if some of you are thinking, oh, billion, that's not believable. We grew the market cap of Jindal Steel from $750 million to $12 billion in 4 years. When I say billion, I actually mean it. The difference that makes the difference is not the tech. It's you as a leader. And what if the difference between growing your business or going out of business was your ability to think strategically? And what if all you had to do was ask the right questions? This is where you want AI to be your Google, go for it. You want AI to help you write a better email, go for it. You want it to become an executive, strategic thought partner to enhance how you think, to drive enterprise value, to fortify a competitive advantage, go for it. You get to decide.
So this idea of a thought partner is critical to your book. Can you just give some examples of what you mean?
Sure.
That AI becomes your thought partner as a leader? And I probably assume that most of our listeners may not have read your book yet, right? So
Sure.
they're brand new.
I sat down with a group of leaders and I asked a question. What are the biggest challenges you're facing in your business right now? If we could just solve them, it would unlock a new level of growth for you. John, the question itself is strategic. For a guy who wrote a book about AI, I don't care about AI. I care about you building a better business and better lives. AI is a tool. It can help you do it or it can distract you from it. One CEO looks at me and he says, I got a big problem. I run a manufacturing company here in the US. I leased all this capital equipment from a company in Japan, but things have shifted in the market and the debt structure is really killing us. We're going to go bankrupt if it doesn't get restructured. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, is this a 20% priority that if we focus on it, it can drive 80% of the results? Absolutely. Let's dive in. And I asked him what he had done. And he said, I feel like I've done everything. And he lists off 5 specific strategies he's deployed. And he said, none of this has worked because the board in Japan is refusing to restructure the debt because they think they'll lose face in Japanese society. I have no next step. We're probably going out of business. And then he looks at me and asks, can AI help? Great question. I actually, for those of you who are just listening, I'm holding up a sticky note to the camera. I keep a sticky note on my desk that says, how can AI help me do this? Because every day, it's tough to read the label when you're inside the box. And every day I'm doing something the old way. I'm doing it based on my ability to process the information I've learned as a human. The new way is to harness AI's processing power with my human leadership and judgment to create better results in a fraction of the time. So I opened up AI, and here's the next sticky note on my desk. It says CRIT, C-R-I-T, context, role, interview, task. I literally keep these 2 sticky notes on my desk. How can AI help me do this? And context, role, interview, task. This is how I started using AI and how I still use AI. And I open up AI and I literally typed in context, role, interview, task. I put the framework for the prompt in first, and then I filled in the gaps. Here was the actual prompt I wrote. Context. I'm a manufacturing CEO. I leased all this equipment from a company in Japan. Things have shifted in the market. The debt structure is killing us. We're going to go bankrupt if it doesn't get restructured. I feel like we've tried everything, and I listed every strategy. None of it has worked because this is a public company in Japan, and the board is refusing to restructure the debt because they think they'll lose face in Japanese society. I have no next steps, and I think we're going out of business. Role. Your role is to act as an investment banker with deep expertise in restructuring debt. Interview me. Ask me 1 question at a time, up to 3 questions to gain deeper context. Then your task is to generate 5 non-obvious strategies I could deploy to get the board to restructure the debt. That was the prompt. Context, role, interview, task. How many of you listening to this or watching this are going, holy smokes, I didn't know you could write a prompt this way. Remember when I said you want it to be your Google? Go for it. You want it to be your strategic thought partner? Buckle your seatbelt, grab your popcorn. Here we go. AI turns the tables and it asks, do you have any relationships with any other influential executives in Japan that the board would respect?
Wow.
John, I look at the CEO. Yeah, you just said, wow.
Yeah.
I looked at the CEO and he went, wow. I would have never asked that question. Great question. Oh my gosh, I actually do. Then it asked 2 more questions just like that. And then it came back and said, here's your 5 non-obvious strategies. Number 1 on the list was the Saving Face Consortium. It said, you have enough relationships with all the right people in Japan. Approach them to acquire your debt. Give them really favorable terms. Your debt gets restructured. The board saves face. John, I turn and I look at him. His whole body language has shifted.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He's actually holding back tears. And he looks at the other CEOs in the room and like very vulnerable moment says, I have not slept in 90 days. I have literally been making peace with the fact that we are going out of business, but in less than 10 minutes, I got hope. 2 months later, my phone rings. It's a text from him, and it says, the ball is moving. I actually think this is going to get done. What if the biggest threat to your business was not your competition, but it was how you were thinking? Your ability to think strategically is the difference between growing your business or going out of business. You got to learn how to start asking the right questions. And that's why you are the thought leader and AI is your thought partner.
I love that. What a great story. The first thing I did with that, by the way, when I saw that concept of being interviewed by AI, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm a thought. My job is to be a thought leader about what is happening with AI, and one of the areas I cover is business intelligence, which is an ancient 40-year-old technology that still looks today a lot like it did 40 years ago. But I've been working with a few companies on defining the future of business intelligence now that we have this AI capability. And so I had a whole document that I had created about what I thought the future of BI would be like. I have to know that, and I have to be able to predict it. I immediately threw it into ChatGPT, not to have it create a strategy or write it better, but to basically now ask me the questions that the AI needed to be able to produce a realistic and very future-looking visionary picture of the future of BI. And so I put it in, and I don't remember the questions. I know it came up with about 8 questions. And literally for me, when I was done answering those 8 questions, I turned ChatGPT off because I actually had what I needed just because I had it interview me and ask the questions that I hadn't thought of asking.
It
So
unlocks deeper thinking. Yeah.
yeah, it's almost like there's 2 levels of this. It doesn't have to be even for the finished result and recommendation. I can use it first to clarify my own thinking, because those were all my thoughts in terms of the answers to the questions. And then there's that level of a strategic piece that comes after. It's absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah. Um, I got a lot of use cases we can go through down that vein. So you guide me.
Go ahead, give us because I think that's what is going to make this stick with people
Yeah.
that are listening right now, is hearing these
What level
examples.
of leader is the person who listens to this show, if you had to guess?
I would say that it's probably going to be a manager, director,
Cool.
about that level. I mean, we always shoot obviously for the C level, and we have a fairly
Sure.
good percentage of those, but I'd say
Sure.
it's probably director.
So the core of our company is an executive network called The Collective, because I have a fundamental belief that trying to know everything about AI is how you lose, because it's moving too fast. And part of what makes me me is I have a superpower of surrounding myself with the right people and asking them the right questions to unlock collective knowledge. And so we just turned that into a business model where if you're a C-suite leader, and you need to lead your company, which means you need to know a little bit about AI, but more importantly, you need to know how to think strategically and drive change. You come into the collective, so you're surrounded by a bunch of other C-suite leaders who are driving the transformation in a way that actually drives enterprise value, and you collaborate. We have a leader in the collective, CEO, calls me and says, I got a problem. I said, what's up? And he said, well, as you know, we've been working toward an exit in the next 24 months. And since we're venture backed, we have a board. The problem is it's a hostile board. Despite us crushing our numbers every single quarter, every meeting is a bloodbath. They just eviscerate us. Nothing is ever good enough. And I just got a call from the chairman saying that I've got 6 months to turn the relationship around, or he's going to fire me and my entire C-suite. I don't even know what to do, because I don't think it's us. I think it's them. And then he goes, can AI help? Here it is again. How can AI help me do this? And I said, yeah, I got an idea. Can you get your executive team together on Zoom right now? And he goes, yeah, what do you have in mind? And I said, well, I'm wondering if we can create an AI board. Excuse me? Yeah, an AI board. What the heck does that mean? I said, I'm going to get AI to interview your executive team about every single director one at a time until it understands them on such a deep level that it'll create a personality profile for every one of them that it can simulate, so that we can start feeding your decks to the AI board. So it'll tell you what the real board will say before it ever says it, so you can stop the bloodshed. Whoa. How many months is that going to take? Months? We'll be done in an hour. How are you going to do that? Crit. Context, role, interview, task. Here was the prompt I wrote. People are like, are you freaking kidding me? Yeah. Remember I said, grab your popcorn, buckle up. This is what I meant. Context. I'm the CEO of company name. We're venture backed. We've been growing. We're trying to get to an exit in the next 24 months. The biggest challenge is we have a hostile board. Every quarter is an absolute bloodbath. And 50% of my executive team's time is wasted throughout the quarter with board distractions. Despite us hitting our numbers quarter after quarter, nothing's ever good enough for the board. I just got a call from the chairman saying that our relationship is so dysfunctional that if I don't turn it around within 6 months, he's going to fire me and my entire executive team. I don't think it's us. I think it's them. I have no idea what to do, so I want to create an AI board. Your role is to act as an HR professional with deep expertise in creating personality profiles. Interview me. Ask me as many questions as you want about one board member. We're going to start with Susan. And when you understand her deep enough, your task is to generate a personality profile for her we could use to train AI to simulate an AI board. AI does an interview and it spits out a personality profile. And I looked at the CEO and said, don't trust it. And he said, excuse me, it looks great. I said, yeah, but that's you allowing AI to replace you, not enhance you. You're the thought leader. It's your thought partner. Give it feedback. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? What changes do you want made? And he starts hammering away and he hits send and it regenerates the profile. And he goes, oh my gosh, that's it. Great. We redid that for every single board member. Then with a few clicks of a button, I created what's called a custom GPT. This is just like a mini app inside of ChatGPT. Fed it the personality profiles of every director and then gave it custom instructions. Your job is to be our AI board. Study the personality profiles so you can simulate every director. We are going to give you our deck before the meeting. You will review every slide as every director and give us the feedback on all the things that are going to blow up in our face in the real meeting that's going to cause all the bloodshed and how we can fix it. To test it, we took the deck from last quarter, John. We know what happened in that meeting. We gave it to AI and said, give us your feedback. Guess how long it took it to read 60 slides as every director and start giving the answer?
I'm gonna say 10 seconds, but
yeah, it was 5 seconds. It was slow that day. One of the things it called out, it said on slide 8, Susan's going to get distracted by all the details of the slide. This is going to lead to a 30-minute detour. It's going to derail your entire agenda and blow up your meeting. Instead of all the details, say these 3 things because it's what she cares about most. And I looked at the CEO and his chin is actually dropped. And he says, oh my gosh, that is exactly what happened in the real meeting. So we know it works. Fast forward 6 months. This is the second board meeting. This is the do or die. It's the 6-month mark. My phone rings. It's the CEO. I answer it and I asked him, what's the verdict? He goes, chairman just called me. He said it was the best meeting we've ever had and the best deck they've ever seen. Then he asked me, what changed? And I go, what'd you tell him? He goes, I told him I had no idea. Your ability to think strategically is the difference between growing your business or going out of business. This morning, I have built my own personal AI board. I don't have a real board and it's lonely at the top. So I have built my own AI board that knows my 10-year vision. It knows my strengths and weaknesses as a CEO. It knows my business plan. And I have had it identify the top skills I would want to acquire if I were to build a real board and then generate personality profiles of famous people who exemplify those skills to advise me. Steve Jobs is on my board for vision, product design, and storytelling, but he's not allowed to give me advice on being a husband, a father, or a leader. Warren Buffett is on my board for long-term planning and risk mitigation. My future self, 30 years in the future, is on the board so I can have conversations with the man I want to become today.
wow.
This morning, I went to my AI board and I said, knowing everything you know about me based on every conversation that we have had and based on everything you know about the company and all the results that we have delivered so far, I want you to imagine that my contract as CEO is up. And it's time for you to decide, do you give me a raise? Do you keep my comp where it's at? Do you put me on a PIP? Or do you flat out fire me? and I want you to go deep and tell me the things I don't know or may not be seeing that I should see. Give me your feedback. I did that while I was at the gym this morning working out because I had AI in voice mode and I was just talking to it while I was lifting weights, literally this morning.
Wow. Have you had a chance to use it yet? Or
Of course I have. Of course I have. It
what
says
did
I
you
should get
just,
a raise.
what
It says,
happened?
well, it said I should get a raise. But I really pressed it for the gaps, and the big one is around just execution. Um, it called out here. Let's just take a little look. See, let me read you exactly what my board has said to me.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my god! Yeah, you just wait on this one. I'm literally going to read you what it says. Here, I'll share my screen. The biggest thing that must evolve fast is your identity as an operator, from visionary rainmaker to leader of an enterprise grade machine. Why? Because your unique genius is communication, connection, and creation, which is true. It got you in the room and sold these big deals. But delivering and expanding that value at an enterprise scale will require you to quickly build and lead an organization that can consistently deliver world class, high ticket outcomes with minimal friction. It'll hold enterprise clients' trust through white glove experiences and measurable ROI. It'll scale operational capacity without diluting your personal brand or burning you out. This shift means you must replace yourself in delivery, hire or elevate senior operators who can run these programs the same standard you sold. Productize what's remarkable. Systemize your IP, your frameworks, and Geoff moments so they can be delivered by others without you in the room. Protect your unique ability. Keep yourself in your highest lane, opening doors, amplifying brand, and creating next level opportunities. Shift the culture and systems to handle enterprise rigor. Think contracts, governance, compliance, procurement, enterprise level data security, and consistent customer success metrics. Future self would push you. So it's calling on my future self profile. What part of my day right now still looks like a $500,000 activity versus 5 million? Who must I become and who must I hire to deliver on these promises at scale?
Wow.
And then it said, would you like Steve Jobs's or Keith Cunningham's lens on how to stress test this shift? I said, yeah. Well, let's see what Steve Jobs had to say.
I didn't, by the way, I didn't see the F. At first I thought,
Let's channel Steve Jobs for brutal, clear lens and evolution. Jobs would say, if you're about to play in the big leagues, your whole company must be insanely great, not just you. Enterprise buyers pay for trust, certainty, and transformative impact, not just vision. So, is your delivery machine insanely great, or are you just winging it?
wow.
Keith Cunningham said, congrats on swinging for the fences, but remember, big deals magnify dumb mistakes. If you don't think before you build, you'll pay the dumb tax at enterprise scale, and that's a hell of a tax.
Wow.
So that was my conversation this morning.
I got to ask, it's like, what do you do with that?
It's totally right. I've already communicated it to the team. The thing is, everything that it called out, we already have in motion, but it brought more clarity. It's like you can see color or you can see high definition. It gave me high def on where our risks are. And there were a bunch more questions on that page that I didn't show you that were like, oh, gotta go. I've got some thinking time blocks to go through there.
I love the fact that you're using the technology. And that's what makes it believable for others, right? Is because you didn't just use it to write a book and your ideas are there and now you go out and coach, but AI has become your thought partner.
Oh yeah. My tolerance for executing my business independent of AI is officially gone. I'm so clear on how inferior my ability to think is compared to harnessing AI. And here's a great way to think of this. Think about how many books you've read in your lifetime. 100, 500, 1,000. Then think about what percent of all that knowledge, all those words, you can recall and apply. right now. I feel like most people, it's like 0.1%. That's how we've gotten through life, is our ability to recall and apply the minority of what we've learned, which is the minority of the information of the world. These AI models so far have been trained on 200 to 500 million books worth of data. They can recall all of it. Every time you write a prompt, it combs through 200 to 500 million books worth of data for your specific use case and generates an answer in under a second. Now, I don't allow it to replace me. I lead it. I'm the thought leader. It's my thought partner. With my leadership, with my guidance, with my judgment, I tap into the greatest processing powerhouse known to man in human history for my advantage. Here's another use case. January of this year, I realized our entire business model was going to break because we were scaling so much faster than I anticipated. I went to my AI board and I context, role, interview, task, context. Here's everything that's happening in the business. You know our 10-year goals, but this is what I'm seeing. This is how fast we're scaling. Here's why I think everything's going to break. We got to come up with a new business model because we've already outgrown this one. Your role is to be the AI board, but I need you to really think about how we create a business model that has the operational rigor to scale to where we want to go in 10 years. Interview me, ask me one question at a time, up to 5 questions to gain deeper context. Task, your task is to generate 100 alternative business models you think could better scale to hit our 10-year vision with less effort. John, there's no world where I could have come up with 100 different business models, like physically incapable. AI did it in 5 seconds.
Wow.
After conducting the interview. And I didn't review all of them. I said, great, now be the board and imagine those 100 got presented to you. I want you to collapse them to the top 10 that you think have the most feasibility and sufficiency. And I want you to rank them in order of recommendation and tell me why you're making that recommendation. I did that while I was driving because I had AI in voice mode and I was just talking to it back and forth. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I had an idea for a new business model that has actually become part of our business model.
Want more Insight Jam? Subscribe to our YouTube channel for shorts, panels, podcasts, and more. In your Shorts feed, enjoy a daily dose of best practices from tech experts and leading solution providers, while long-form panel discussions and keynotes, recorded live every quarter, go deep on important industry topics. And don't miss our collection of regular podcasts, keeping you informed on the latest trends. We're hard at work collecting the best enterprise technology information from around the globe, so subscribe to be notified of our next upload. Now, let's get back to the show.
Geoff, talk a little bit more about this idea of being a leader and being a leader of the AI, right? And not
Sure.
letting it. I mean, I have a sense that there's going to be people that don't use it and they're just going to get eclipsed. There's going to be
Sure.
people who overuse it and they're going to become reduced to the lowest common denominator because they'll be just like everybody else. And you're talking about a leader, being a leader and using AI. What's that balance?
So let's talk about thought leader versus thought partner first. Great way to think of this is the car. Who's in the driver's seat and who's in the passenger seat? As thought leader, you are in the driver's seat. You are writing the prompt. You are giving AI context. You are assigning it a role. You are asking it to interview you. You are telling it what task you want it to accomplish. You're leading it, but then you're passing the ball. And as the thought partner, it starts doing all the processing, all the work to generate an initial result. Here's the mistake people are making. They're asking AI to write an email and they're copying and pasting the answer with zero oversight, not thinking, not giving feedback. When you get the first draft, it's just the first draft. As thought leader, you then give it your opinion. You tell it what you like about it. You tell it what you don't like about it. You tell it what changes you want made. And then as thought partner, it does the work and it brings it back. But then as thought leader, you don't just blindly accept that. You recognize that's the best of what you could just come up with AI. But it's tough to read the label when you're inside the box. This is when I flip it to the challenger. I say, great, now your role is to act as a challenger. Your favorite word is no. You're highly skeptical. You're great at pointing out everything that's wrong. I want you to review the work we just did and give me feedback. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? What are the top changes I'd have to make to get a better result? Then regenerate it based on that. It's like your business intelligence thing. That's where my mind went. Like, invoke the challenger and have it poke holes in it. That'll blow your mind. Then, if this is for customer facing things, I'll say, great. Now act as my customer who has to say yes to buy this. Be the CEO. Tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you don't like about it. Tell me the top changes we'd have to make so it would be compelling and you would say yes. Then make those changes. And I will pass it back and forth between challenger and customer, like it's reps in the gym, back and forth until it is so damn dialed in that it's like, whoa.
I love it. I mean, I love it. I think that what you're doing for people is enabling them to it's a multiplier, right? It's multiplying everything, all of their God-given capabilities, everything that sits within them is being multiplied and engaged and released in a way that makes them a better person, a better leader, a better director, a better manager, it doesn't matter, a better whatever you do.
Yes. Here's the thing. I have shifted, and you will too. You shift from being the player of an instrument in an orchestra to becoming a composer of strategy and a conductor of teams and technology. As composer of strategy, you define the vision. You define how you're going to win in terms of competitive advantage. As conductor, you don't play any instrument. You conduct multiple instruments to play. What you watched me do or heard me do there was be a conductor, generate this draft, now make these changes, wave the baton, now be the challenger, wave the baton, now be the customer, wave the baton. Like, I'm just waving the baton and invoking different personas. I'm tapping into expertise of the world at my fingertips. So instead of calling a team and saying, I need to talk to my chief product officer, I need to talk to my chief technical officer, I need to talk to our office manager, I can say, be that person. And it will harness all the data it has on how that person would think and act and apply it in the moment. This does not replace you. This enhances you if you stay in the driver's seat as the thought leader.
Yeah, awesome. I want to end with this last question because one of my favorite parts of your book is this idea that humanity was ruined by the Industrial Revolution and taught to just push buttons and check boxes. And I think that people think of AI as the same thing, that it's going to dumb people down. You talk about this
I have a
elevating
different vision.
humanity.
Yeah. So there's so much fear around job displacement. And I found myself thinking history repeats itself. We've been here before. This is not the first time that technology changed things. And so I went back and I studied printing press, steam engine, assembly line, electricity, internet. And what I realized is that in every technical shift in history, certain people lost their jobs, but more jobs were created. I found myself asking, what is a job? What I realized is that it's like an algebraic formula. Job equals skills applied times processes followed. Your job is just the skills you apply and the processes you follow. Technology is going to do what it's always done. It's going to make certain skills less valuable, and it's going to make certain skills more valuable. It's going to make certain processes less valuable, and it's going to make certain processes more valuable. What's the difference that makes the difference? It's the human, and it's their mindset and their willingness to do what humans do, to learn, to evolve, and grow. And this is where mindset becomes a big deal. Because if you mentally attach and cling to the way things used to be, you are putting yourself on the track to be replaced, because you are going to cling to processes and systems and skills that go down in value. Your job will become less valuable and you may lose it. And it's hard to say this. You made that choice because you chose to keep focusing on those skills and those processes. I know this is brutal. I know, but I live by ultimate accountability. The alternative is to say that, hey, At one point in time in my life, I didn't have the skills to do this job. I didn't know how to do the processes. I learned them. I can do it again. So what are the skills that are going to become more valuable? How do I learn them? What are the processes that are going to become more valuable? How can I learn them? You have to let go of the way things used to be and start imagining who you can become. The people who play that game are going to have unprecedented opportunity. And the thing for me, John, like what scares me is that most people, I question how much most people really want to learn and grow. And I get it, change is hard and it's scary, and that's okay. But this is why for me, the AI-driven leader is not an AI book, it's a leadership book. This is about creating a new category of leader that takes a stand for humanity and keeps humanity at the center and says, I want to use this technology to create better leaders, better businesses, and better lives, which means we have to meet people where they are at. In the Industrial Revolution, we stopped acting like humans and started acting like machines. People are still acting like industrial workers. Show up to work on time, take direction from a boss, do something repetitively with minimal error with maximum efficiency. You're acting like a machine. But what if it was a machine that would actually return us and make us human? Because if a machine can do things better than a machine, it's going to take all that away, which frees us up to be us. So what are your strengths? What makes you you? How can you harness AI to enhance you, not replace you?
Final word of encouragement for the listeners, Geoff.
You can do this. The truth is, as much as I learned at Jindal and working with Google, wasn't that much. Like that was enough to give me the chutzpah to quit and write a book. When I started writing the book, I didn't feel qualified. But I said, I'm going to make a commitment to write the book because it's going to force me to change who I am. It's going to force me to go so deep on research and so heavy on application that I will emerge as a global thought leader. That's exactly what happened. Everything that you are hearing here at the time of this recording is who I have become in the last 15 months. I couldn't have said any of this 15 months ago. So for you, like if you ask, what do I want to be in a year? What do I want my life to look like in a year or a year and a half? You're thinking too small. You're massively putting a ceiling over what's possible. I have lived it. I have done it. And I have now watched thousands of other people do it alongside me. You can do this. And you know how you start, John?
Crit.
2 sticky notes and a Sharpie. How can AI help me do this? Context role interview task once a day, every day. Ask how can AI help me do whatever the heck you're doing, and then write context role interview task. If you do that in 30 days, your perception of what's possible for you will be massively different.
Geoff, my guess is there's going to be another 20 or 25,000 people that watch this that want to connect with you. What's the best way for them to, where do they find your book? How do they connect with you?
Book, The AI-Driven Leader, Amazon, Kindle, Audible. The website is aileadership.com. aileadership.com. All of our focus, we focus specifically on C-level leaders. So if you are a C-level leader driving this in your company, you may be interested in the collective. And we do some advisory work on very limited basis, but we really lock arms with companies and help them drive this in a way that grows their market cap and builds a competitive advantage. We're very good at what we do.
Thank you for the insight. Thank you for the inspiration. I'm honored to have had this time with you. I would make it 5 hours if we could, but thank you for the 50 minutes that we had, Geoff.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, John.
Wow. That's all I can say is wow, because that was one of the most incredible interviews that I have done maybe in my life. I am inspired, I am encouraged, and I hope you are too. Do me a favor, if you had this response to Geoff Woods, just go right down below, like this episode, subscribe to the InsightJam.com YouTube channel, share it with your friends. The best is yet to come. There's more of this coming. You can join us in a couple of weeks again for the Digital Analyst. If you want to connect with me, do me a favor and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to continue this conversation. If you want to connect with Geoff, again, best place to do it is going to connect with him on LinkedIn. You can also find him and all of his materials at aileadership.com.
Powered by Insight Jam.